if you saw this. I know you're a big fan of the JRE like I am, but I saw Zuckerberg was on there. You see this? You know how people make all these memes with Zuck where they go, "Oh, he's a reptilian, he's a fucking lizard, whatever." So he was actually on the JRE, and I listened to the whole thing. It was about 3 hours long, and Rogan's been getting all these big name guests on, even though they're trying to cancel him and deplatform him, right? And they're really kind of sending all the heat that they can at him right now. Just for simply asking questions. I don't agree with everything that he says or some of the people he platforms, but again, he's just trying to entertain both sides of the argument and kind of find out the truth, which is always somewhere in the middle. It's never one way or the other. It's not a black and white thing. It's usually a gray thing. So Zuckerberg was on JRE, and apparently, from what I mean, at least from from my scope and hearing this conversation, Zuckerberg basically admits to Joe Rogan that Facebook was wrong to ban the Hunter Biden story. That was, people were uploading. That was like basically a clip. It was like a snippet of the article from the Post, which is interesting because, a lot of people were alleging that like the FBI kind of covered up that story, and obviously that's like a big time story. That was in the news cycle, and it kind of got swept under the rug. But that was also the situation where, how that laptop came to be a thing is that Hunter Biden had this laptop. He dropped it off at a computer repair station, and then he just never picked it up. And then they turned the laptop over to FBI agents, who then went through the contents of the laptop, and they found evidence of like corruption in there. There were emails that Hunter Biden had where he very clearly says, like, he's also on the board of Burisma, which is like an energy company. It's like a natural gas and like oil company based out of Ukraine. And Hunter Biden obviously doesn't know anything about oil or natural gas. So it's like, how the fuck is he on that board, right? So then the main thing is that in doing that, there was an email that was leaked where he basically says, "Oh, 10% to the big guy, 10% to the big guy," which is Joe Biden, the sitting president. So there's like clearly some type of web of corruption going on. And, it goes on both sides in politics, but it was very evident that it was a part of this laptop case. There was also videos of Hunter Biden like smoking crack or whatever that were on there, and some other disturbing things that we can't really talk about here. But it was definitely interesting. So I just found it very surprising because I didn't think that, with Rogan, like he's very, he's into jujitsu and he's into martial arts. And a lot of that is almost kind of like, in a weird way, it's like physical chess. Like you have to kind of like figure out what the other person's going to do. And I think now he's gotten to the point as an interviewer where he almost plays like mental chess or like mental jujitsu with the guest, and he'll kind of get them to talk about things that they normally wouldn't talk about in any other, sort of formal interview setting or whatever, because he kind of just portrays his show like he's just hanging out with the guest, right? So I thought that was really interesting. That was the first thing. And then the second thing is that Rogan was talking to Zuck, and Zuck makes it a point to bring up these, Ray-Ban like Meta smart glasses that came out. I don't know if you saw this, but like you press a button on the glasses, and the glasses, like there are these two little spots where it will light up white, and you could just start filming, and you could be like, film this, and it will start filming or whatever, because it has like built-in voice recognition. So Rogan was just like, well, what if you tape over the lights? That shows that it's recording. Like, isn't that just a blatant privacy invasion? And then Zuckerberg was like, yeah, I guess you could do that. But he's like, well, then it would cover the camera. And I'm just like, how dumb is this guy? Like, you literally could just cut like a tiny piece of electrical tape and just fucking tape it over. You could just tape it over the light, and then no one would know you're recording. So it's just so stupid. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I thought those were really, two interesting things that are worth mentioning. And I'm curious what your opinions are on, the whole laptop thing. And then also just Zuckerberg being on there in general. Like, do you think, is he a guy that we could trust? Is he full of shit? Like, what do you think about him in general? What do you think about the laptop? And what do you think about the smart glasses that came out? And do you think Meta's going to continue to innovate, or do you think they're kind of dead in the water because now the hardware, these iPhones and all these other devices are now building in integration for, sort of curtailing like the privacy invasive measures of social media companies.
Yeah, the biggest thing I thought about in that interview is when he said that the FBI came to Facebook, and what you said previously about what you said previously about how they silenced the Hunter Biden story with the FBI coming to Facebook. That was uh, quite insane when you look at it. And if you look at some of Joe Rogan's other guests, I think Alex Brenson or Berenson, whatever, he mentioned this in one of his interviews too with Joe Rogan. And he was just basically this guy that he was talking about, a certain shot he was talking about, and he basically got censored from Twitter. And then he went and he sued Twitter, and eventually he got reinstated back on Twitter. And he used the law. He used the fact that Twitter is seen as like this kind of town square, and in the California Constitution, he used the argument of like the Pruneyard Shopping Center versus Robbins, which was this case in the 1980s, where they said even though like the mall is a like a private place or a private building and such, you can't stop protesters from entering the building. So this was like a recent case that just got put in, and he's able to like dispose two of Twitter's executives. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. What gets made public once he disposes the executives, and how this affects censorship in that regard. But the Zuckerberg interview was pretty interesting too. It's going to be interesting to see where those glasses go, because I know Snapchat had glasses at one point. They didn't go anywhere. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he could develop these VR glasses. I don't think it's going to end up going anywhere, these VR glasses, in the long term. I don't think people want to walk around with these glasses.
Yeah, I mean, these things already have existed, right? When you think about technology and in the scope of like smart glasses or any sort of glasses that are able to live stream or to upload visual content or whatever the case may be, these have existed, and they've not only existed, for some time, but they've existed for, I mean, over a decade at least. Think about Google Glasses, right? Google Glasses had a camera built into them. They had a camera built into them, and they had some type of visual interface as well. And then when you think about Snapchat, didn't fucking Snapchat do this? Didn't they have those Snap glasses or whatever? I mean, this isn't innovative at all. The other thing is that on the JRE, Zuck is just really kind of talking about the metaverse and building your own little avatar that kind of looks like you and has like the same type of like facial recognition. So I guess that's cool. It could pick up like any patterns with like facial recognition. So if you're like happy and you're smiling, like the thing will pick up that you're smiling and you're all happy and shit. But that's not really innovative. Like that seems more of like a nuanced fucking like little detail, Like I've played games. Like here's a funny thing too. As someone that's played games for like a decent amount of my life, when I was a kid, I used to play like 360, and I had my own little avatar on there, and I built a guy, and he like kind of looked like me as much as I could make him look like me, but it didn't use facial recognition software. The other thing too is that like Madden and NBA 2K have had this software for like 5 years now, where it's like it's called Game Face. You like scan your face, and then it like puts your face on the guy's body or whatever for your player that you create in the game. So it's not like a new thing. I don't know why he's trying to pitch it like it's a new thing. And the same thing for the glasses. Like I said, they're not new. It's just, wow, you're doing it, but you're doing it as like meta. Like, wow. I don't know. I think there's like quite a bit of limitation with what they're going to be able to accomplish with not only the glasses, but just the metaverse in general. It really does seem like a cash grab, and it seems like kind of a last ditch effort to like push up the valuation of Meta as a company, because clearly, like I said, the hardware limitations are here, and it looks like they're going to be here to stay. So it really doesn't look like they're going to be going anywhere as more people become more concerned about, their privacy being invaded, and targeted ads have, become a big thing as well.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you mentioned this before, but they're being made by Ray-Ban, so that is an advantage that they had over Snapchat. Like Snapchat's glasses were the ugliest thing I ever seen, and like Ray-Ban's like a big fashion brand. So
I'm a big sorry to cut you off, but I'm a big Ray-Ban guy. I have the Wayfarers. That's like the model that's been around since like the 50s, and it's just like a timeless design. It's you could kind of wear them with anything. It's not like they're not like too flashy. They're not like too extravagant. They're pretty reasonably priced. They're pretty well made. I think my pair is over 10 years old. I still wear them pretty regularly, especially in the summer. But they're good glasses. They're made well. So he did choose the right company, because I think if people do end up wearing them, it's got to be with a company that has a pretty sizable amount of market share and kind of a timeless design. Because fads come in and out all the time, especially when it comes to sunglasses and fashion and whatever. When it comes to shit that people wear, things come in and out all the time. But the Wayfarers are pretty famous because that's what like the Blues Brothers wore when they would perform, and a lot of like celebrities and like rock stars and shit. But this is like kind of a timeless design that they like slightly altered over the years. I think the actual design, or like the name of the ones that I have, it's called like the New Wayfarer, and it's just maybe I think it's just like a little bit like the frames are a little bit smaller, but it's like the same design. So
Yeah, I mean, they also said too, like if you believe this too, there's something wrong with you. They said, what did they say? They said Facebook will not use the contents of the or the photos or videos captured using glasses and stored in the Facebook app for personalizing ads, and will provide an ads-free experience. If you believe that's going to be the case, then